I want to start today with a scenario. Imagine you wake up one morning and your car won't start, or you get a letter from the doctor with an unexpected bill, or your employer calls a meeting and tells you your position has been made redundant. In that exact moment, before the panic even fully sets in, there's one question that quietly changes everything. Do you have money set aside for this?
And for a huge portion of people, the honest answer is no.
I've been in that position. There was a time in my life where an unexpected bill of even a few £100s would have sent me into a complete spiral. Not because I wasn't working, not because I was irresponsible. I just had no buffer. And the difference between having one and not having one is genuinely one of the most impactful financial changes you can make.
And that's exactly what this episode is about. We're talking about the emergency fund, what it is, how much you actually need, where to keep it, and how to build one even when you feel like you have nothing left over at the end of the month.
Let's get into it. Welcome to Clarity and Coins, the show about money, mindset, health, and everything that connects them. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Alex. Today we're on the coins pillar, personal finance, and specifically on what most financial experts consider the very first step of building a stable financial life. Not investing, not paying off debt aggressively, not budgeting apps. The first step is an emergency fund.
Which sounds basic, but I think a lot of people either skip it because they think they can't afford it, or they've never really understood why it matters as much as it does.
Both of those things are worth unpacking today. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how much to save, where to put it, and the single most practical step to start building one today. Even if the number feels impossibly small right now.
No fluff, no jargon. Let's go!
Let's start with the why, because until the why is clear, the how doesn't really motivate anyone. An emergency fund is a dedicated pot of money set aside specifically for unexpected expenses. Things you didn't plan for and couldn't have predicted.
And the reason it comes before everything else, before investments, before extra debt payments, is what exactly?
Because without it, every financial plan you build is fragile. Think about it this way. Say you've been really disciplined, you've set up a budget, you're paying down a credit card. Things are finally moving in the right direction. Then your washing machine breaks. If you have no emergency fund, what happens?
You put it on the credit card, which undoes the progress you just made paying it off.
Exactly, and that cycle, making progress, hitting a surprise, going back into debt, feeling defeated, is one of the main reasons people give up on managing money altogether. The emergency fund is what breaks that cycle. It's the layer of protection that keeps one bad week from becoming a financial setback that takes months to recover from.
There's something psychological about it, isn't there? Even when you're not in an emergency, just knowing it's there changes how you feel about money day to day.
That's one of the most underrated benefits. When you have a financial buffer, the low-level financial anxiety that a lot of people carry around just quietly reduces. You're not one bad day away from crisis. And that shift in your stress level actively affects your decision-making in other areas of life too, at work, in relationships, in how you sleep. Financial security and mental clarity are much more connected than people tend to acknowledge.
We actually talked about that connection in episode 1, the way your financial situation affects your mental health and vice versa. This is a really concrete example of that.
It really is. The emergency fund isn't just a financial tool, it's a mental health tool as well, and once you experience having one, going back to not having one feels very uncomfortable in a way it didn't before you understood its value.
Okay, so point 2, the amount. Because I think this is where a lot of people get discouraged before they even start. You hear 3 to 6 months of expenses, and if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that number sounds completely out of reach.
It can feel overwhelming, and that feeling makes people do nothing, which is the worst possible outcome. So here's how I think about it in stages. And the first stage has nothing to do with 3 to 6 months.
Go on.
Stage 1 is what's sometimes called a starter fund. This is a small fixed amount, somewhere between $500 and $1,000 in whatever currency you're working in. That's your first target. Not 3 months of expenses, just that one number.
Why that amount specifically?
Because it covers the most common financial emergencies: a car repair, a broken appliance, an urgent medical appointment, a last-minute travel expense for a family situation. Most of those things fall somewhere in that range, so even a modest starter fund eliminates the Most frequent reasons people go into debt unexpectedly.
And psychologically, hitting that first milestone must feel really different from staring at a target that's thousands and thousands away.
The difference is enormous. Once you hit that first target, you've proven to yourself that you can save consistently, and that proof matters, because the next stage, building toward 1 full month of essential expenses, suddenly feels more believable, not easy, but believable, and then from there, you work toward 3 months, then 6, but you're doing it in stages, not all at once.
What about people who say they'll just use their credit card if something comes up? I've heard that argument before. My credit card is my emergency fund.
It's one of the most common misconceptions in personal finance, and it's worth addressing directly. Using a credit card for emergencies works in the short term, but you're not absorbing the emergency. You're borrowing against your future income to deal with it. And you're paying interest on top of that. So a 500 problem becomes a 600 or 700 problem by the time it's paid off. An emergency fund lets you handle the same situation without any of that extra cost.
And if you're already carrying credit card debt, adding more to it during a crisis just compounds the stress even further.
Exactly. The credit card can be a tool, but it's not a safety net. A savings buffer is the actual safety net. Point 3. And this one surprises people. It's about where you keep the emergency fund, because the location matters more than most people realize.
I would have assumed just keep it in your regular bank account?
That's what most people do, and it's actually one of the main reasons emergency funds disappear when the money is sitting in the same account you use for groceries, streaming subscriptions, and nights out. It doesn't feel separate. It just feels like money, and it tends to get spent.
I've done that. You intend for it to be emergency money, but then you see the balance and think, well, I could just borrow from it for this one thing, and I'll replace it next month. And then next month comes and goes.
That "I'll replace it next month" thought is how emergency funds quietly vanish. The solution is separation, physically keeping the money somewhere distinct from your everyday spending account. Ideally a dedicated savings account that you don't check every day and don't have a card for.
So you're deliberately adding friction between yourself and the money.
Exactly. The same friction principle we talked about in the diet episode, actually, just applied to money. Make the easy choice the right one, and make the wrong choice slightly harder. If you have to log into a different app or wait a day for a transfer to clear, you're far less likely to touch it for non-emergencies. But it's still accessible within a short period of time if you actually need it.
What about investing in it, keeping it in something that earns a return while it sits there?
That's a tempting idea, but it's the wrong tool for this job. The whole point of an emergency fund is that it needs to be available immediately, in full, without any risk of it being worth less than you put in. If your emergency fund is invested in the stock market and the market drops the same week your boiler breaks, you could find yourself either accessing less than you expected or forced to sell at a loss just to handle the crisis. Keep it liquid. Keep it stable. Keep it simple.
So a regular savings account, ideally one that earns a little interest, but nothing exotic.
That's it. And if you can find a high-interest savings account that still allows easy access, even better. You're not trying to grow this money dramatically. You're trying to preserve it and keep it available. Those are two different goals, and they require different tools.
Okay, let's pause and recap the first 3 points before we go further. An emergency fund is the financial foundation that protects every other money goal you have. You don't need 3 to 6 months right away. Start with a starter fund of $500 to $1,000. And keep it in a separate savings account with some friction between you and it. Not invested, not in your main spending account.
Perfect summary. Now for the 2 points I think people need most. How to actually build it when money feels tight. And what counts as a real emergency so you don't accidentally drain it on things that don't qualify.
This is the one I really needed to hear back when I was starting out. Because the advice of just save more money is not helpful when you feel like there's genuinely nothing left at the end of the month.
Right? And I want to acknowledge that some people are in genuinely tight situations where every penny is accounted for. This isn't about dismissing that reality. It's about finding the smallest possible starting point within whatever reality you're in, because even very small amounts, consistently directed, do eventually accumulate.
So where does someone even begin?
The single most important mechanism is automation. The research on saving behavior is very consistent on this point. People save significantly more when the money moves automatically before they get a chance to spend it. It's sometimes called paying yourself first, before you pay for anything else that month. A fixed amount goes into your emergency fund, even if that amount is 5.
5? As in 5 of whatever your currency is?
5, because the goal right now is not the amount, it's the habit. Setting up an automatic transfer, even a tiny one, means you have a system running in the background every single month whether you think about it or not. That system is what builds the fund over time. And once the habit is established, increasing the amount is much easier than starting from scratch every time.
There's something really powerful about removing the decision from the equation. You don't have to remember. You don't have to have the willpower that day. It just happens.
Exactly. And then there are a few other practical strategies that can accelerate the process. The first is what I call found money. Anytime you receive money you weren't expecting, a tax refund, a birthday gift, a bonus at work, even selling something you no longer need, that money hasn't been mentally assigned to anything yet. Redirect it to your emergency fund before it becomes invisible spending.
That's such a good point. Found money has this way of disappearing without you even knowing where it went. Giving it a destination the moment it arrives means it actually does something.
The second strategy is the one subscription audit. Go through your recurring payments and find one you could cancel or pause. A streaming service you rarely use, an app subscription you forgot about, a membership you signed up for and haven't visited. Cancel it this week and redirect that exact amount to your savings instead. You won't miss it because you're already not really using it, and you turn something passive into something productive.
I did that exercise about a year ago, and I was genuinely shocked by how much I was paying for. Things I had completely forgotten I subscribed to.
Most people are. And finally, and this one is underused, consider whether there's any way to generate a small amount of additional income in the short term, not a second job necessarily. Selling things you no longer need, offering a skill you already have to someone in your network, doing a few hours of freelance work. Even 1 or 2 extra months of accelerated saving can get you to that first starter fund milestone much faster than you'd expect.
And once you hit that first target, the motivation to keep going is completely different from when you're staring at 0.
Progress is motivating, 0 is discouraging. That is a very human truth, and it's why getting to that first milestone as quickly as possible matters so much psychologically.
Okay, point 5, and I think this is where a lot of people accidentally undo all of their hard work. What actually counts as an emergency?
This is really important because the fund only works as a protection layer if you protect it. The test I use is 3 questions. 1. Was it unexpected? 2. Is it genuinely necessary? 3. Does it need to be dealt with urgently? If the answer to all 3 is yes, it's probably a real emergency.
So give us some examples. What qualifies?
A car breakdown that's your primary way of getting to work? Yes. An urgent medical or dental bill? Yes. A boiler or heating system failing in winter? Yes. Losing your job and needing to cover essential expenses while you find new work? Yes. That's the scenario the fund is ultimately built for. These are things you couldn't have planned around and that have real, immediate consequences if left unaddressed.
And what doesn't count?
A sale on something you've been wanting. Concert tickets for a show you just found out about. A holiday deal that appeared and feels like it won't come around again. A friend's birthday dinner that got more expensive than expected. None of those pass the 3-question test. They're not unexpected in a genuinely disruptive way. They're not necessary, and they can be planned for in advance with a different savings pot if they matter to you.
That last part is interesting. A different savings pot. So the emergency fund isn't the only savings bucket you'll eventually have.
Not at all. Once the emergency fund is established, you can build separate pots for holidays, for big purchases, for social events, whatever matters to you. But those are discretionary. The emergency fund is non-negotiable, and it stays protected. Think of it like a fire extinguisher. You don't use a fire extinguisher because you're slightly warm. You save it for when there's an actual fire.
I love that analogy. And it also means you need to be honest with yourself in the moment. Because in the moment, a lot of things feel more urgent than they actually are.
That's the real discipline of having an emergency fund, not the saving, the protecting. If you find yourself rationalizing a withdrawal, run it through the 3 questions. Unexpected, necessary, urgent. If it doesn't pass all 3, it waits.
All right, we've covered why it matters, how much you need, where to keep it, how to build it, and what counts as a real emergency. So what's the actual step someone takes today?
3 steps, and I want you to do at least one of them before this day is over. The first is to open a separate savings account if you don't already have one. Most banks let you do this in under 5 minutes through an app. Name it something specific, emergency fund, not just savings. The name matters because it creates a mental association. It stops it from feeling like general money you can dip into.
Naming it sounds small, but I think it makes a real difference. It gives the money a job.
It does. Step 2. Set up an automatic transfer into that account. Choose any amount that feels comfortable. It could be 20, it could be 50, it could be 5. The amount does not matter today, the system does. Set it to go out on the day you get paid, before any of the money gets spent on anything else.
And step 3?
Step 3 is to set your first target. Write down the number you're aiming for in stage 1, 500, 750, 1,000, whatever feels right as that first milestone. Put it somewhere you'll see it. Your phone wallpaper, a note on your bathroom mirror, a sticky note on your laptop. Make it visible. When you can see what you're working toward, every contribution to it feels like progress rather than sacrifice.
Account, automatic transfer, visible targets. That is so doable. Not as a resolution, just as 3 practical actions today.
And I'll say this one more time, because I think it bears repeating. The amount you start with does not matter. The only thing that matters is that you start. A fund of 50 is infinitely more valuable than a fund you plan to build but haven't opened yet. Start small. Start today and let the system do the rest. That's a wrap on episode for Clarity in Coins. If this episode gave you the push you needed to finally start your emergency fund or to take it more seriously, then it's done its job.
Share it with someone who needs to hear it, a friend, a sibling, a colleague who's been putting this off. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. New episodes every week on money, mindset, health, and self-improvement.
Remember, clarity is the first coin.
See you in the next one.